Some vans. It's surprising that I never get stopped, isn't it? I can walk around here all day long and never get stopped. There's somebody here as well. Awesome. So I think these are the dog units. So this is the clump of concrete that we've been looking at. Hi! I'm just recording this clump of concrete here. I know that sounds weird. Good morning everybody and welcome to today's vlog. So today is the morning of the 6th of February and I've just done the school run. So to be on an airfield, I feel it's only appropriate to start with the weather. It's -4 today, or as I call it, absolutely Baltic. It is freezing, but oh my goodness, it is beautiful. So as you can probably see over there is the Northern Radar. We have recently had some huge village news because the Northern Radar was actually stormed by police yesterday, and there is still a police presence there today. Now I can only go on the lovely social media site that is Facebook to say what's going on over there, but it does look like it's been some kind of illegal growing establishment as far as the village rumour mill goes. Now I have no evidence of that. That is purely what the people say, and obviously there's so much fake news out there, who knows. In other news, other huge news, where I am walking around the perimeter track around the field that is the former RAF Lindholme is not owned by HMP Lindholme anymore. I have been contacted by a local farmer who actually has the contract for all of this land, who's seen my YouTube videos, and he's contacted me to tell me that the information that I have is slightly out of date, and the permission that I have to be here definitely is. However, he has said it's okay for me to be here, so God bless him and thank you so much. So this airfield is now owned by a private company based in London. If anybody wants to tell me who that is, if anybody wants to do any more research for me, that would be incredible. I do have access to the land registry. It just costs a fortune to be able to go and get that information. So if somebody has free access to the land registry, because I know some firms do, I would be really interested in that information. So, as you can see from the thumbnail, Battle HQ, is that, in that picture, a battle headquarters? Let me tell you the story about that. I posted my video and I posted it on the World War II Disused website on Facebook. John, who's one of the admins there, lovely fella, spotted it out at 24 minutes and 40 seconds and said, is that the cap, the concrete top to a battle headquarters? I didn't know what that was at all. You all know me, I'm very new to all of this, and I learn as I go and I soak up all information like a sponge. I'm here to learn and be as respectful as possible. So, what kind of happened then is I've had the busiest week of my life and I have not been able to get back to see whether or not that has happened. So now it's Thursday morning on the school run. The sun is only just up, but bloody hell, it's bright. It's a bright one today. So I'm here now to go and see whether or not that is a battle HQ. My first thought was, well, why would it be at Lindholme? Why on earth would Lindholme need that kind of bunker headquarter system? That was until I found this document from Historical England, which is the Royal Commission on the Historical Monuments of England, which was done for South Yorkshire, Hatfield Woodhouse, Bawtry Road, RAF Lindholme Tactical Control Radar. And I believe the information in this document proves that this site did have an absolute reason to have an underground battle headquarters. First of all, I'm going to apologise about any kind of filming, whether or not you can see me or not. I film on a GoPro head-mounted camera, which I just handhold. I cannot see what my finished article is going to look like. I also cannot hear what my finished article is going to look like. So I'm just going to say, because there's been a recent thing on YouTube and on Facebook about picture quality and sound quality. First of all, I do what I do as a hobby. I don't take it seriously. I try my best, but it is what it is. And second of all, I can't help it. The way it comes out is the way it comes out. But anyway, let's get on with the story. So first of all, the summary. RAF Lindholme Tactical Control Tower, TCR, station was built circa 1960 on a group of disused aircraft dispersals adjacent to the western perimeter of the former World War airfield, RAF Lindholme. The site is situated on low-lying ground approximately 8 kilometres, 5 miles northeast of Doncaster. The complex consists of operations blocks, type 82 radar head building, a standby power generator, set house and associated fuel tanks with catch pit, an entry post, 3 garages, a transformer plinth, all of which are enclosed by a chain and link perimeter fence. I've missed my track. So, the history of the place. The history of RAF Lindholme extends back to May 1938, when, as part of the Air Ministry's L&M expansion schemes, work commenced on a new bomber aerodrome on Hatfield Moors. The aerodrome was opened on the 1st of June as RAF Hatfield Woodhouse, operating under the control of No. 5 Group Bomber Command. 2 months later, the name was changed to RAF Lindholme to avoid confusion with the aerodrome at Hatfield in Hertfordshire. Like the majority of aerodromes built in this period, it had a grass surface landing ground, which suffered severely due to the heavy usage. As a consequence of this, and the introduction of heavier aircraft, RAF Lindholme was closed in July 1942 to permit the laying of the concrete runways, perimeter tracks and frying pan aircraft dispersals, some of which were built to the west of the A614 post-war. The A614 became the western boundary of RAF Lindholme, and the majority of the dispersal sites to the west of the road were abandoned. Eventually, the disused aircraft dispersals to the north of Red House were reoccupied as the site of an Air Ministry experimental station, AMES, Type 82 Tactical Control Radar, TCR, and the headquarters of No. 21 Wing. Now, July 1942, that has massive significance for me, because that is when 304 and 305 Polish bomber squadrons were moved away from Lindholme to Hemswell. So they were moved so that the ground could be tarmacked to try and make it easier for subsequent bomber crews when they came here to do their missions. So that's really important. But now I'll show you a photograph of the plane dispersal and the Northern Radar sat on top of it. The origin of the Ames Type 82 radar can be traced back to 1949, when development work on behalf of the Army commenced on a new three-dimensional radar called the Orange Yeoman. The intention was to provide improved tactical control and warning from the anti-aircraft operation rooms, the AAORs, to the individual anti-aircraft gun sites. In addition to Orange Yeoman, by 1950 parallel development work was being carried out on new anti-aircraft guns, surface-to-air guided weapons, SAGW, and target tracking and illuminating radars. During this period, the perceived future role of the Orange Yeoman radar became inextricably linked to the tactical control of the surface-to-air guided weapons, SAGW. The Army had instigated the development of two SAGW systems to the same operational requirements, codenamed Red Duster and Red Shoes. During 1953, the RAF assumed responsibility from the Army for the development of SAGW defences for the British Isles, acquiring the SAGW Red Duster and tackling the illuminating radar Yellow River and the tactical control radar of Orange Yeoman. The Army had issued a requisition for 2 prototypes and 3 production Orange Yeomans. Development work was carried out at the Radar Research and Development Establishment, RRDE, Malvern at Worcestershire. And the first prototype was erected near the Army's AAOR at Frodsham, Cheshire. From the point of view of the RAF, this installation was of little value, as it was built to the Army's point defence requirement, protecting Liverpool and Manchester, rather than the RAF's requirement for the protection of the nuclear deterrent force. Towards the close of 1955, RAF Northcotes on the Lincolnshire coast was selected as a site for the second prototype. Trials were carried out to prove the effectiveness of Orange Yeoman in putting on the Yellow River tracking and illuminating radar at the adjacent SAGW site. While these trials were underway, the radar equipment and missiles involved acquired their RAF nomenclature? No idea what that word is. Orange Yeoman becomes AMES Type 82, Yellow River becomes AMES Type 83, and Red Duster became the Bloodhound Mark 1. The AMES Type 82's vital role was the provision of long-range early warning of aerial attacks over the large geographical area. The information it provided enabled the tactical selection of individual targets for allocation to the tracking and illuminating radar at the particular SAGW site, which covered a much smaller geographical area. The provision of a data link from the TCR operations room to the SAGW site allowed the rapid acquisition, putting on, of the Ames Type 83 tracking and illuminating radar, TIR. The TIR would then follow the target, feeding information directly to the Bloodhound missile launcher up to the point of launch. The receiver antenna in the missile's nose was already locked on while still on the launcher, and at the moment of launching it was in line with the target in bearing and was elevated at 45 degrees. The 3 production Orange Yeomans AMES Type 82 equipments, originally requisitioned by the Army, were ordered by the RAF in 1956. However, no decision on their deployment was taken until the completion of the acceptance trials at Northcotes. Eventually, the Bloodhound Mark 1 SAGW system became fully operational in 1960, when the 3 production AMES Type 82 radars were installed at RAF North Luffenham, Leicestershire, number 151 Wing HQ, RAF Wattham, Norfolk, number 24 Wing HQ at RAF Lindholme, South Yorkshire, number 21 Wing HQ, together with the prototype at RAF Northcotes, Lincolnshire, number 148 Wing HQ. RAF Lindholme provided long-range tactical information to 4 Bloodhound sites: RAF Carnaby, RAF Catfoss, RAF Brayton and RAF Mizzen, NBR number 95774. Each site was equipped with 2 groups of 16 missiles and 2 target illuminating radars, TIRs. RAF Lindholme's association with the Bloodhound missile was, however, short-lived, as during 1963 it became an air traffic control radar unit, ATCRU. In 1965 the site became known as Northern Radar, continuing to operate at the ATCRU until the 31st of March 1978. A refurbishment programme for the Type 82 radars was then initiated, with the aim of keeping them operational until 1986. However, this aim did not fully come to pass, as RAF Lindholme was converted into a communication centre, a ComCen, during the latter part of 1981 and into the early months of 1982. Up until its use as ComCen, RAF Lindholme had not been protected by anything more sophisticated than a chain and link perimeter fence, but with the advent of IRA attacks on mainland military targets, new defences were deemed necessary. The ComCen was operated by 842 Signals Unit until it was vacated in 1995, and by the August of that same year it had been placed on the disposal list. So with all that information that we've got so far, and about all of the missiles that were here, was there a need for an underground battle headquarters? Because I genuinely think there was. I think if any station would have needed that, even for the briefest of periods, it was probably this one. I'm into the trees again, so not as blinded by the sunshine as you are out there. So the description from this document: RAF Lindholme is sited on low-lying ground, approximately 3 metres 10 feet above Ordnance Datum. It is located to the west of the A614 Bawtry Road and is approximately 2 kilometres or 1¼ miles south of Hatfield Woodhouse and 8 kilometres 5 miles northeast of Doncaster. The complex comprises of an entry post, a store, a former Type 82 radar head building, a substation, a standby generator set house and associated fuel tanks with catch pit, 3 garages and communications building, former operations block. The complex occupies a roughly rectangular plan site enclosed by 2.10 metres or a 7.5 feet high chain link boundary fence topped with 3 strands of barbed wire. An access road enters the site through the eastern perimeter via a pair of chain link clad steel gates. A further gate is located to the southwest corner of the southern perimeter, set back some 3.05 metres 10 feet from the boundary fence. Is an inner perimeter fence of 3 coils of Danart wire fixed to steel picket posts. A Danart wire fence flanking the road to the north extends at a right angle from the inner perimeter to the entry post guardhouse. The entry post is a secondary feature built circa 1982 when RAF Lindholme became a communication centre. It's a single-storied, single-room, 3.05 metres 10 foot square plan structure of cement rendered blockwork construction with a flat felted timber roof. Access is gained by a timber door in the rear, the western wall. Steel casement windows offset from the centre in each of the remaining walls permitted a field of view of 270 degrees. The access road in front of the entry post is obstructed by a movable steel tube knife rest which projects from the Danart fence to the north to form a chicane for vehicle inspection. Defence works. A demi-bastion plan projection in the boundary at the northeast corner of the site permits the opportunity for enfilade flanking fire along the face of the north perimeter. Evidence in the form of differential grass growth and a number of steel picket posts driven into the ground indicates that a single coil fence of Danart wire divided the site into eastern and western sections. This element was located a little to the east of the operations block, the Comsen. It extended at right angles from the inner southern perimeter to a point on the central axis of the site. At this point it turned 45 degrees towards the northeast and continued to the northern perimeter to form a salient. Defence works in the form of sangars, fortified defence posts, began to appear during the 1980s in response to the threat of an attack by the IRA and remained in use up until the complex was abandoned in 1995. In 1993, the site was defended by a total of 4 sangars and 7 rectangular plan pillboxes. The sangars were built of ammunition boxes and sandbags filled with rocks or sand and riveted in earth. Overhead projection was provided by a roof consisting of timber beams supporting corrugated steel sheeting overlaid with sandbags, prefabricated reinforced concrete, Yarnald sangars. 2-man pillboxes were also known to have been used to defend the site. By the time that the site was surveyed in March 1996, all of the defence structures had been removed. However, evidence for the existence of the sangars remained in the form of differential grass growths and sand spillage. I still have a few more pages to go talking about the Northern Radar, but we are just coming up to the part of RAF Lindholme that I think that we all want to see the most, which is whether or not this big clump of concrete is actually something or nothing. Now, it's difficult to tell with concrete, and I've thought about this over the past couple of nights. You know, I'm probably going to get there and it's just going to look like a lump of concrete, which is where I need you guys. So I could probably look and be looking straight at something or nothing, and I kind of need you to tell me what it is. So I'm going to turn the camera around in a second. We're just coming up now to the control tower, and as you can see from the thumbnail, it's right at the side of the entrance to the control tower. So here we are. This is the control tower line of trees now, which actually looks like a dumping ground. Looks like a car might be coming as well. I can hear the rumble of a car, so I'll try not to get that in the filming. There we go. That is the gorgeous but sadly not looked after control tower. And if we continue down here, apologies for the quality of the pictures because I'm sure the sun will be getting in the way. Past all of this wood. Having recently bought a garden stove, I have 1,000,001 uses for all of that wood. But if you come down to the end of here, ooh, some vans. It's surprising that I never get stopped, isn't it? I can walk around here all day long and never get stopped. There's somebody here as well. Awesome. So I think these are the dog units. So this is the clump of concrete that we've been looking at. Hi! I'm just recording this clump of concrete here. I know that sounds weird, but we think it's a battle headquarters.
Ah, right, okay.
So, I don't. Oh, that was so lovely. So just speaking to a lady who is a dog patrol person here, who uses the sites over here to be able to train her dogs. So that was really, really lovely. So, John and everybody else, this is the clump of concrete. It is absolutely massive and it is reinforced. It has got loads and loads of stone. All I can say is that it looks to have been put in with like a wooden frame. You can see that it's got bits of wood on the side of it. I can't really walk around here because the ground isn't all that stable with all the debris. But it looks to be in a rectangle, and then it seems to have had, and it's got this plinth on top here, which looks to be completely separate from the rest of it. So this is a later bit of concrete, so whatever that is. Now what the lady has said to me is that in recent years it has been used as a ramp, so that they put the concrete on probably for getting deliveries in and out, but she's never really seen it in use. It's just what she's been told it was for. But this top bit is completely flat, so the rectangle at the top is flat and it's had concrete added to it to make it into a slope. It has a crack through the original bit there. So is this a battle headquarters? That's the original bit there as well, down that side. Who knows? Let's go around the other side and see what we can see. It's definitely, from here look, it's definitely a rectangle with a flat top. That I can say 100%. Definitely a rectangle with a flat top. And then over the years, this concrete here seems to have been poured on it to make a ramp. You can't see that side, it's built up at that side with grass. But then you can see on here clearly the original rectangle of concrete that goes around there. And then it's not as neat at that side where you can see it. So, I've given you the tour now, it's over to you. What do you think? It's very obviously been a rectangle of concrete, but I mean, this is the RAF. They used concrete for absolutely everything. Do you think that there's a battle headquarters under there? Do you know if there's a battle headquarters under there? Have you been stationed here and seen it, or is it something that has long since gone to history? I'd really like to hear your views. Make a comment down below and tell me what you think. I personally wouldn't put anything past this site. It is constantly bringing up new things all of the time, and I absolutely adore the history here, but I just can't stand to see the place go to wreck and ruin. Look, there's a big hole in the fence here. Let me put the camera through the hole, and then you can see the beautiful building. Oh, I'd love for that to be protected, but anyway, it probably won't be. We'll probably lose it, like we lose so much of our beautiful history. But anyway, on with what else is over at Northern Radar. Back down the avenue of trees and out of the sunshine. So the former former AMES Type 82 radar head building. The store, the former AMES Type 82 Orange Yeoman radar head building, was built on a former frying pan aircraft dispersal. It is a tall 3-storey rectangular plan structure with 5-segment curved south elevation. It is constructed of cement rendered brick and has a flat reinforced concrete roof concealed behind a low parapet, protected by a tubular galvanized steel railings. A circular steel aerial turntable that rotated the radar array remains in situ at the southern end of the roof. A steel lifting beam at roof level projects out over equipment taking indoors in the north elevation. A number of doorways in both the east and west elevations permits access to the interior. Natural illumination to the interior is provided by a variety types and sizes of steel casement windows. The ground floor is lit by 2 windows in the west elevation, while the first floor is lit by 3 windows in both the east and west elevations. No window exists at second floor level apart from one which lights the stairs at the northern end of the building. The stairway is lit by 2 windows in both the east and west elevations, indicating 5 flights and mezzanine landing. No evidence of a cross-site feeder from the radar head building to the operations block was found above ground, and it can only be presumed that it ran inducting underground. The Communication Centre. The Communication Centre, the former operations block, is a tall 2-storey, 8-bay rectangular plan structure with lower 2-storey offer annex to the west and a tall single-storey flat-roofed annexes to the remaining 3 walls. The main range is built around 22 encased stanchions supporting the first floor. The walls are of stretcher-bound, fair-faced brick cavity wall construction with brick piers to the first floor of the main range. The walls of the main range are blind and are pierced at the first floor level by double fire escape doorways which allow access to the flat roofs of north and south annexes. The east and west elevations are capped by plain low brick pediments at first floor level beneath an exposed concrete beam. The east wall has a large rectangular blocking of secondary brickwork. A square brick flue from the boiler room rises within the wall thickness of the southeast corner. Originally, this flue discharged at the level of the upper surface of the pediment. A secondary brick chimney now carries this flue above the pediment. The annexes to the east house the boiler room and the heating and ventilation plant room. I'm guessing most of it has been a plant room these days. Workshops, a battery room and a no-break generator set room. The boiler room and the plant room can only be entered from external doorways, while the no-break generator set house can be entered either externally or from the interior of the comsen situated adjacent to the plant room access ramp. Is the boiler room fuel tank within a low brick walled catch pit and a timber fenced enclosed containing electrical switchgear. The annex to the north housed 2 storerooms, while the one to the south consisted of a telephone exchange GPO room and an extension of the communications room. A secondary incinerator room with a tall galvanised steel flue had been built against the north wall. 2 precast concrete panel garages have been built parallel to the northeast corner of the north annex. A further garage is located on the former aircraft taxiway that leads to the northwest corner of this site. A 2-storey office block with a flat reinforced concrete roof is built against the western elevation of the main range. Access to the ground floor is provided at opposing ends of the western elevation by 2 recessed double doorways with a plain precast concrete architraves lit by rectangular fan lights. Internally, it consists of a series of offices and small rooms to the ground floor with 3 offices, 3 restrooms and 4 toilet washrooms to the first floor. Access to the first floor is provided by a stairway at the eastern end of the northern corridor. The rooms on both floors are arranged to either side of the central corridor. The inner rooms are provided with natural light by a rectangular light well, while the outer rooms receive daylight from steel-framed casement windows in the north, south and west elevations. The office block fire exit is located at the eastern end of the first floor corridor, providing access to the brick-walled external stairway. This stairway permits escape both from the office and the flat roof of the south annex. Escape off the north annex roof is via a vertical steel ladder. Internally, the ground floor of the main range consists of a large rectangular plan communications room entered by a double doorway at the northwest corner of the room. Flanking this entrance to the north is a doorway which allows access to a corridor that leads to the north annex storeroom and to a fire exit. The communication room projects into the south annex, where a further fire escape exists in the southwest corner. The walls and stanchions of the communication rooms are finished with perforated superlux boards, probably for noise reduction and to permit 1 hour fire resistance. The superlux boards are attached to the walls on timber battens with spaces filled with 25mm 1 inch mineral wool. The room has a secondary false floor of modular construction consisting of 60 by 60 centimetres, 2-foot panels raised 30.4 centimetres, 1 foot above the original concrete floor. The coffered propriety suspended ceiling also appears to be secondary. 3 small rooms occupy the west wall of the communications room. A secondary semi-glazed partitioned wall forms a computer room against the east wall of the communications room. The wall of the computer room differ from the rest of the communication rooms as they have a vinyl wall covered with plaster. The southern wall of the computer room is formed partly by an airlock that projects from the east wall of the communications room. The airlock leads to a transverse corridor that allows access to the telephone exchange, 2 workshops, a storeroom, a stair to the first floor ante-room and the no-break set room. The first floor of the main range consists of an auditorium, an ante-room and 3 small rooms. The auditorium is rectangular in plan and occupies 2/3 of the floor area, and the floor is stepped at the eastern end. The precise function of this room remains to be established. It is entered by doorways in the northwest and the southwest corners. The doorway at the northeast corner of the room appears to be for officers entering directly from the office block. This doorway is adjacent to a coved partition wall which may have functioned as a projection screen. The double doorway at the south corner of the room enters from an L-plan ante-room, and it appears to have been for the use of other ranks. Fire exits are located in the north and south walls to permit escape onto the flat roofs of the single-storey annexes. So next there is a standby generator set house and associated fuel tanks and catch pits. The standby generator set house is a single-storey rectangular plan structure of stretcher bond fair-faced brick cavity wall construction with a flat asphalted felt roof. A pair of steel diesel oil tanks are located adjacent to the eastern wall of the standby generator set house in a rectangular plan 1.52 5 feet high concrete walled catch pit. The inspection cover of each tank is assessed by steel, ladder and catwalk. The tanks are inclined to the south with the fuel gauges, delivery pipes and valves being situated against the south wall of the catch pit. So this site was visited by Roger J.C. Thomas in March 1996. The report was drawn up by Roger J.C. Thomas, and the photography was also done by Roger J.C. Thomas, but the archives were drawn by Alan T. Adams. So why have I read all that out? I think it's so important that whatever is here on this site is documented, at least in one place, which is why on Willem X Kid I have put everything to do with RAF Lindholme and Hatfield Moors in one playlist. I'm trying to keep everything together as well as documenting absolutely everything that there is to be able to know about it. But that's why I need your help. Is that a battle headquarters? Somebody must know. If it was, somebody must have been down there. It can't have been during the war period, it has to have been after the war, and it has to have been round and about the time of these Bloodhound missiles. Does anybody know? It must connect in or tie in either with deliveries and it just being a ramp, or the fact that there is a room down there somewhere which has remained undiscovered all of this time. Do tell me what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. If you are new to Willem X Kid, or even if you visited before, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. We currently have about 12 or 13 different videos based on and around RAF Lindholme, so do go and check them out. And we do also now have a members site as well, so if you look in the description below, you can become a member of Willem X Kid. With that, you do get access to some different footage to everybody else, like lives. Some of the times when I come out here and do this, a couple of times a week, I am going to do a live. I'm going to have specific chats between people that are members of the videos or members of the channel. So again, go and check it out. And thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye. Did you like that vlog today?
Yeah.
And what do you do now?
Head out.